Today, we're going beyond the mask. We're going to try and understand something that's so important for our fathers, our brothers, our sons, and our friends, and that's the really rich and complex emotional lives of boys. It all kicks off with this question, right? One we probably all heard or maybe even thought. Are boys just less emotional? It's a huge assumption, and today we're going to pull back the curtain and see why it's so incredibly misleading. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look beneath the surface. Then, we're going to learn how to crack the code of how feelings are expressed. After that, we'll get to the weight of the world, all those societal pressures. And finally, we'll talk about how we can build better, stronger bonds. All right, first up, beneath the surface. To really get what's going on, we have to look past that tough exterior and explore the really rich inner world that's so often kept hidden. Think about it. From a very young age, society kind of hands boys a script, and the main character they're supposed to play? The tough guy. He's stoic, he's strong, he doesn't show pain, and he definitely doesn't cry. This mask becomes the default setting, a sort of emotional armor they're expected to wear. But here's the thing. Behind that mask, the reality is completely different. Boys feel everything, the whole spectrum, just as deeply as anyone. But they're often taught to process those feelings in a different way, maybe by channeling it into action, like throwing themselves into sports or video games. And this tells us something really important. Feelings like loneliness and vulnerability are super common, they just aren't always given a voice. Okay, so if these big emotions are being channeled into actions instead of words, how in the world are we supposed to understand what's really going on? Well, that brings us right to section 2, cracking the code. This is where we learn to translate behaviors into their actual emotional language. Now this is so fascinating because this chart basically works like an emotional decoder ring. We see anger or irritability and we take it at face value. But what if, just what if, it's actually covering up a feeling of fear or helplessness, or that constant sarcasm? That could easily be masking some deep insecurity. And the silence, the withdrawal, it might not be defiance at all. It could just be a sign that they're completely overwhelmed or dealing with a deep sadness. The key here is to look for the feeling behind the behavior. And this whole process actually has a name. It's called emotional channeling. It's that subconscious thing that happens, the engine behind the decoder ring we just looked at. A vulnerable feeling, something like sadness or fear, gets rerouted and it comes out looking like something more socially acceptable, like anger. It's a defense mechanism, plain and simple, designed to protect that vulnerable core. But why? Why does this emotional channeling even happen? Well, that takes us to our next section, the weight of the world. Because, this isn't just happening in a vacuum. It's being shaped by some really powerful societal and cultural pressures. Wow. This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? An emotional script they didn't write but are expected to perform. It just perfectly captures that immense pressure to fit into this very narrow idea of what it means to be a man. A performance that really doesn't leave much room for genuine feelings. And this isn't just a vague idea. We have the numbers to back it up. A staggering 78%. 78% of boys and men say they feel that societal pressure not to show weakness or cry. Just let that sink in. That's almost 8 out of every 10 feeling like they have to hide a fundamental part of who they are. That is a heavy, heavy weight to carry around. Okay, so we've kind of looked at the problem from a few angles. Now for the most important part. What can we actually do about it? Let's get into our final section, building better bonds. This is all about the path forward, about creating connections that are built on real, genuine understanding. So how can we really help? Well, it can start with 4 key steps. Number 1, and this is so important, validate the feeling first before you jump in and try to solve anything. Just acknowledge it. Second, share your own vulnerability. Model that it's okay to not be okay. Third, try to shift your questions. Instead of an accusing why, try an open-ended, how did that make you feel? And all of it works toward that 4th step, creating safe spaces where conversations can happen without any judgment. So let's just end with this thought. It really doesn't take some massive gesture. Sometimes it's just one small act of understanding. Maybe it's validating a feeling instead of dismissing it. So the question is, how could that one little shift change a conversation in your life today?